Guys, here we go. Here we go. I'm going to get this live podcast started. I was going to do it last night. Had some technical difficulties, and I want to go ahead and get it done and to say get it started. So, again, I was thinking about how I want to do the first podcast, whether I want to have a guest or not for the live action and stuff like that. And I decided to go against that and go by myself. Do this thing solo to get everything kicked off. So, I know a lot of you guys have been in my channel before, seen a lot of my videos. But there's a lot of new people that's going to be seeing the podcast. People that are only watching podcasts is mainly. So it's a lot of new people. So basically, what I'm gonna do is dive right into it, introduce myself for the people who don't know me, and we're going to kind of get right into the thick of why I'm doing a podcast and things like that. I have left open the chat box. So go ahead and throw some stuff up there after I introduce myself and what who I am, where I'm from, and what I'm about. I'll go back and check the stuff out. I've already see people are starting to chime in here, and thanks for everybody that's coming in. Again, thanks for all new viewers, and thanks for all the guys who've been with me over the years. It's been close to, I think my first video on YouTube was maybe like 2006 or 2005 or something like that. So time has flown pretty quickly. So again, just jumping right into it. My name is Donald Jackson. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Currently 35 years old. Will turn 36 here soon. Went to, did the whole high school deal. Played a lot of football. Did a lot of computer building. Actually played 3 sports in high school. And pretty much high school is like the reason I'm starting there is because that's more recent stuff. And that's pretty much also where I found the guys that I got into cars, and pretty much also got into the game around the same time that Fast and Furious came out, which is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. But anyway, I met a few critical guys. They know who they are out there. Jarvis Hall, Justin Gaither, a few other guys. Met those guys at my first real job, second real job in high school, working at the movie theater. And those guys were like, again, very very instrumental in me starting to those guys taught me how to drive manual. They introduced me to the racing life, and then I kind of took it over, and I became the guy building the engines and all that stuff like that. So anyway, around the high school time frame, was doing a lot of car building and things like that. Kind of started getting away from computers, which is what I did a lot of. The car thing just kind of, again, it popped out of nowhere. I didn't come from a car family. I didn't have a mechanical background. I just did the computers, and the way I started computers was just taking them apart and putting them back together. And I did the same thing for cars. Start taking them apart in small parts and smart pieces, putting them back together. And the computer skills actually was a good thing for imports, because a lot of people say imports is mainly wiring and stuff like that. And I did get into the wiring, and I ended up doing a lot of engine swaps and Civic, DXSI conversions, a lot of B18 swaps back when, way before there was any wiring swap kits. So all the swapping was done. All the information was available on forums. It was iffy, and the manuals, the PDF manuals weren't available at that time. So a lot of guys were, they didn't have that information. So it was kind of trial by fire, and again, those skills paid off. Did a lot of swaps. Kind of escalated my beginnings in imports and racing right away, because I became known as a guy who would do good wiring swaps. So started doing a lot of stuff. Met a lot of older guys, and I didn't make a lot of the mistakes that a lot of guys make when they first get into the car game. So anyway, that was like the high school deal. But also in high school, again, I was playing sports. Football, Emerson Westside High School. Played football, played lacrosse, was a captain there, wrestled a little bit, but didn't get a lot of time to do that. And the football, I didn't get any scholarships athletic-wise, but I was pretty decent, playing. I ended up going to University of Maryland a little bit after that, which you guys see me wearing the University of Maryland. My mom got me this, and this is a University of Maryland lacrosse. I played club lacrosse there my first year. We weren't able to play varsity because they wanted us to maintain our grade, GPA, and stuff like that. So the sophomore year, I was able to walk on, and I walked on and played football for University of Maryland. Believe it or not, I don't talk about it a lot because I was a walk-on. I started climbing the ladder a little bit, and then I screwed my grades up, and I had to jump off the team to try to save my scholarship, which was a full ride to University of Maryland. Shortly after that, I got kind of depressed with college, and I didn't want to. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I'm an analytical person. I analyze things. I sit back and watch stuff, and the reasons why people were there in college wasn't the reason why I wanted to be there in college. So I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to college anymore. So I got out of college after my third year, but I was still technically I was still technically I think a sophomore or something like that. So again, I got out of college, and around about 2005, I went to the nearest recruiter, which happened to be just Air Force, Army, Marines. I was going to go to Marines before went to college, but I kind of got the scholarship and went for go that option. Um, so again, I went to the Air Force recruiter. I was ready to go. Told him to save the BS. And actually, this guy's pretty cool, Timothy Ward. I still talk to this guy to the day. He was straight up with me, security forces troop, and he told me what to expect and what And I was like, hey, I'm ready to do it. Let's sign the papers, take the test, and let's get it started. Because I knew that the military. I was doing the research. I knew the military would put me around the world. I would meet a lot of different people, get a lot more connections, which I was gaining there in University of Maryland College Park. But again, it was a different kind of thing where nothing against college and those who are going to college, but college is a business, and the way I seen that early. I just wasn't with the program, and I knew it. Well, back then that time I didn't know your major didn't mean your major didn't really mean what you can do for the rest of your life. I mean, you can get a major in whatever. I mean, of course, if you want to do computer related stuff, a computer science major is going to definitely help you there. But I mean, it's all about who you know. You got a 4-year degree in your hand, a diploma, and pretty much somebody vouches for you. You take a test, and you're in working for Northrop Grumman or whatever. It doesn't matter about what major you have. For those who are looking to go to college, the major is honestly meaningless. Somebody's going to refute that, but I mean, again, it's not the all in all. Again, I see some questions dropping in. Thanks, guys, for the questions. I'm gonna get back to those again after I finish introducing myself, so the new guys who don't know me know a little bit more about me. But anyway, moving forward from college, which was around about 2005 to 2006, I went from college and pretty much went straight into the military around 2006, April 25th. You never forget those dates because you're like, what the hell did I just do to my life? So I went to college and everything, and I went to military. One of the leading facts to getting me through the military, I had mental toughness. I was an athlete. I was a little bit bigger because I was 240 pounds. It's 245 pounds before I came when I came from the playing college football. So I was a little bit bigger, so that first week or two sucked because I was 245 pounds in the Air Force. At that time, I didn't know. I mean, all branches of military about a run, but the Air Force seems to promote this like cross-country running type, tall, slender, lean, thin guy. And there's a lot of more Marines and Army got more bigger guys than the Air Force on average. So I was a much bigger guy. I ended up being a dorm chief for those guys who know what it means, like pretty much the leader when the drill instructor or MTI is not the TI is not a technical instructor is not available. So I was the guy, hey, do this, do that, and let's do this, and I kind of skated under the radar for like the first couple days, and he always picked the big guys. And the guy came up to me and like, hey, what did you do before you came in? I was like, I played D1 football, and sure enough, man, 4 hours later, the other guy got fired because he was a big guy, but he was soft. I forgot the guy's name. But he was a softer guy, soft-spoken, not soft as I don't know him as a man, but he was soft-spoken, and you can't be like that. So they picked me, and then pretty much I was a dorm chief for the whole. I only did, it was like 6-7 weeks or something like that. So all the Air Force, Army Marine guys don't laugh at us, but at that time it was only 6 or 7 weeks for basic, and and pretty much, I did what I had to do. I took the heat when I had to take the heat for the guys. And it's just kind of been a natural leader thing. So moving like kind of forward from there, 2007 I started my active duty career. Late 2006, 2007 really got into it. 2007 I went from 2006 joining to 2007 I'm in Iraq now. So I'm in Iraq for my first tour of convoy duty there. Introduced right away, small arms fire, IEDs, all that good stuff, and I don't know how I did it, but I watched a lot of war movies and stuff like that, and always want to know how you're gonna react when you get in those situations. And I reacted pretty well. Training kicked in, which we did a lot of training. We did about a month and a half of training before, actually no, 2 months of training, almost going before you got to Iraq. So it was a lot of a lot of drills and a lot of reactions, a lot of muzzle discipline, so you don't shoot your buddies when you're doing evacuation and CADSEVAC and all that stuff. Still in my mind today, I can do it right now, and if it dropped, the mission dropped down, And again, that was my first of three. So I did 3 tours in Iraq. I don't know how many miles up and down. We pretty much stayed in Kuwait as a base, and then we moved up. We picked up all of the goods from the ports, and we moved up through Iraq. And we would drive 12 hours, stop here, drive for another 12 hours, stop here, and then so on and so on until you get to your destination. All of Iraq. So I mean, I can go to Iraq right now. You can drop me off blindfolded. I'll look around for a second. I know exactly where I'm at, and I can drive anywhere in Iraq, which is crazy. Uh, and we use this thing called a plugger, and pretty much it was just a GPS and numbers. So at this coordinate, you make a left, and you make the left, and it's within like 10 meters. So you just got to know the routes, and the routes are kind of vaguely marked and everything, and you see other convoy teams marking it. So I did LVC, which was a lead vehicle. Then I did a few other jobs, and then my last one I was a assistant convoy commander. Which if the convoy commander goes down, God forbid, dies or whatever, you become the second in command. Which you have like all the troops. You tell them you got to tell the guys what to do. You have to you get with the gun trucks and stuff like that, and pretty much you got a lot of people lives in your hand. Everybody's counting on each other, but I was a staff sergeant again. I was 20, maybe 27, 28, or something like that, and again leadership skill, leadership qualities. Just a lot of people recognize those, and I've always done very well in leadership positions, whether it be captain and stuff like that. So again, just the military thing. Did a lot of stuff in my military career. I finished as an E5 staff sergeant, which is like 4 stripes for the Army guys confused. Staff sergeants are like I think E6 or something like that. So after the military, I worked at it's called the AMC PAX terminal for about a year. That really wasn't really good. And the yen rate was like 76 to the dollar. After that, I got picked up by Antoine Simmons over at a job called Cubic. I met up with Carlos Lopez and Mike Hendricks, Donald Baker, and all those guys over there, man. And we did the thing over there, and which pretty much was loading GPS, big, like really long GPS pods up onto the jets. That's about as far as I can get into it with that. I don't have secret clearance anymore, but still some of that stuff is sensitive stuff that my buddies are still working there, so can't get too involved in that. So pretty much I did that for about a year and a half, 2 years. The money was decent, but the government shutdown occurred twice. And during the second government shutdown, everybody was like, "Hey man, what are you gonna do for money?" If we don't get this contract back, then for me, man, I was like, I was looking at other jobs, and other jobs are trash. It was making less than what I was making, and I was like, dude, I'm not trying to go backwards. So I started developing a plan secretly, like about a year before, about 2 years before I launched, 3 years before I launched my shop. I started thinking about it, and about 2 years, into working in a job, I was starting to really think about it. Then after that last shutdown, I really started to look into the market, see what everybody was doing around here, and when I noticed, and in my area, that there was this one performance shop, but he's an older guy. He got a lot of clients. He's not interested at all in working with Americans because he's had some bad dealings with those guys. So he just don't like Americans. I was introduced to him, so he would work with me because the guy vouched for me, and then I never screwed him or never did anything wrong. And around Massawa, it was just a lot of general shops, and I noticed there was no performance. So I was doing a lot of my own performance work. I had a lot of guys coming to my house to get stuff done, and I was like, man, I could probably make money off of this. And sure, I took a plunge. I saved about $5,000 from selling wheels to all you guys out there, and then I put the money back into like introducing it to the business. And that was the last $5,000 I had, and I was like, hey man, I got a month to make this happen, man. And after that month, the GTRs would start coming because remember the 25-year rule hit, and I started in 2006. 25-year rule hit, and that was perfect timing, which I timed it because I knew a lot of these cars want to go back. Guys need engine builds, all this stuff like that. So it was perfect timing to launch and everything. And then here we are, pretty much 3 years later. Again, glossed over things. You guys get to know a lot more about me as we do all these podcasts. But kind of just a kind of high school to where I'm at right now, which was, that was 2003. I graduated high school, and I've been in Japan now for about 10 and a half years now. So yeah, man, time flies, and again, just staying to my original plan, sacrificing a lot of fun time, a lot of family time and everything, and I'm very happy to be where I'm at right now, and I could stop right now and be very accomplished, but that's not my thing. I'm not addicted to drugs or I don't drink, I don't smoke, but my addiction is accomplishments, and I accomplished a lot of stuff in my life, a lot of things. And I just, it's like cool for a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, what's next? What's next? What's next? It's a bad thing, but it's a good thing. I mean, it's very good to accomplish good stuff. I mean, so there's definitely not anything wrong with it, but you got to also, for people like me, it's like, when to throttle down, when to take a break and stuff like that, and when to kind of enjoy the accomplishments. But some people just keep wanting to, push higher, push higher, push higher. Guys like Michael Jordan and all the greats like that, athletic guys, win championships. Some people relax, and I mean, these guys go and win 6 championships, what I mean, and stuff like that. So again, so you guys don't know, sports is a big thing. Again, I don't play football no more. There's no worth in it for me to risk the damage. I do martial arts. I practice a little bit MMA, mainly jiu-jitsu. But got to break it to judo because I want to get my black belt before the Olympics 2020. So that's a big feat. So I got to get with Tony Camaro for that stuff. Romero, sorry, but to get me help with that stuff. So I'll start with that. But anyway, I'm gonna go back. This is a little bit about me again. You guys get to know a lot more about me. So let me check out this the questions a little bit. I'll go back in order. Like I said, I'll get to it. Right now I'm on a crappy camera, so I think I got about 80 minutes or so. So as soon as I start seeing the battery flash, I'll probably have to shut it down. So I'm gonna go back and scroll back and look at some of these questions. And see what we got here. So again, thank you to all the guys who are tuning in so far to see this stuff. Again, everything will get a lot more better as time goes. Again, this is the first thing. I watch a lot of different podcasts, and again, I picked up some things. But I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to emulate anybody. I got a shop to run international business. Everybody does different things. This is not my grind. It's just kind of it's a cool thing to do. I got all the equipment. I got the know-how. I do audio. I do video. So why not jump into it? All right, so just going back up here a little bit. Let me see what we got right here. Let me see what we got. So Andrew, I'm gonna start from the way down, just to be fair to everybody. I'll answer as many as I can before the battery runs out. So Andrew asked me, what are my thoughts on the SR20 DET? All right, so a lot of you guys know I started with the 240 SX in the States. It was my first real car. My first car was a Toyota Celica ST, which I didn't register it. I got towed away and everything. So anyway, KA was the big thing. I mean, well, KA was the engine that came in the 240. Back when I got in the game, like I said, early 2000, SR20 was king, and everybody who had a little bit of chunk, extra cash, would buy the SR20. And my style is not. I don't like following mass trends. And everybody was doing SR20. If you didn't have SR20, you were crap and everything. I didn't have the money for it at the time, honestly. It was like during my college time, getting out of high school, and pretty much I wasn't working. I found a CA18, which was just a block. It was pretty much a long block. Turbo was missing and stuff like that, and I was going to buy that from a guy, but then looking at all of the transmission and the wiring harness and all the stuff I had to get, I decided not to get that. And then I visited Mid-Atlantic Motorsports, and I seen run by Brian over there, and a guy named Matt Martin had his he had the Star S13 with the KET. First time I ever seen a turbo KET, and I was like, what's that? And he was like, KET, and I was like, all right, man, cool. So I started looking at that, found KET.org, and then that's pretty much was it. So anyway, that's kind of like, the reason why I didn't do the SR20, and kind of had an initial bad taste in my mouth about it. All right, so the S13 red top, traditional rear wheel drive model. I have not have good luck with those engines, man. I tried. I blew 3 in one season. Before that, I had about 6.5 seasons straight with one engine, RB25, 500 horsepower, 0 issues. Everything else around it, I had like some regular car issues, but I never had issues with the engine itself. And I still got the engine outside sitting on a stand, and it never blew. The SR20. I don't like the rocker arms and stuff like that. The rocker arm stoppers don't really help much. And I've had rocker arms come off, rocker arms snap in half. I don't like the SR20 rear top. The S14 and S15 rear top, S14 and S15 SR20 turbo. They're a little bit better. They're definitely better. They have the variable valve system, and they're just newer technology. So it seems like Nissan kind of fixed the issues that it had before. So I never had issues. I never broken or had anything happen to the S14, S15 variant. S13 though, I've always seen issues, and that's the one you see they break the most because they're just older. Going into the SR20, the DET for the Pulsar, that's a whole different engine. If you guys know, just look it up how the Pulsar works. But that engine is a whole different. It's like a transverse setup, but it's totally different. The head is totally different. You got the ITBs, different engine, and that one's solid. I never really seen anybody break a engine on a Pulsar. They're a little bit of the pain in the ass to work on, but that's pretty much it. But as far as SR, like I mean, it's a can of worms open up because I mean, I for the red tops, I never built one. All the ones I used were high mileage already, beat on, and so that probably contributed to me breaking them because I took it right from wherever it was at in Japan. They ran, the compression was decent, and it had a tune on it, and then I took it to the track, and then like pretty 2 or 3 sessions, and it's broken. The last SR20 I used for competition was a red top, pretty high spec tune I put on it. I took it down to Maze, broke the transmission, drove all the way back from Maze to Misawa, which was about 12 hours, and then around about 4 hours away from Misawa, the number 4 valve seal let go, like completely let go. So all the oil was coming out of the engine, going into the catch can. So I would pull over every like maybe 10 minutes and pour the oil back into the engine. And at that trip, I was like, "This is it, man." I got to the garage. It crept in the garage, and then the next day I pulled the engine out, tossed it, and I took my RB. I had RB26 laying around, put it in there, and I kind of haven't looked back. So again, they work for what they work for, but and there's a lot of SR20 guys out there, but it's just not my thing, man. I tried. So I'll go back later on. I got a lot of engines on the table right now to build and other projects to do. So I'll build one and give it a decent shot, but I just don't like the rocker arm setup. And then you'll get a bunch of guys trying to say like my SR never broke and stuff like that. Good luck, good for you guys, but I would lean to bet that you're not pushing the car hard. Some people think they're pushing hard and banging off the rev limiter in second gear is not really pushing the engine hard. It's not good for the engine. You're definitely not helping the engine. And in SRs, you don't want to be banging off the rev limiter. S13 wise, because again, the rocker arms, you guys know, they just sit like this, and pretty much, I mean, they can come off to the side. I've seen it go off to both sides, or just crack in half. And then once it cracks in half, you got all those bits and everything down in there, and hopefully it doesn't hit the timing chain and does stuff like that. So that's my take on it. Again, I'm not a guru of it, but I mean, SR20 it's not a hard engine. I mean, I got the FJ sitting outside. The KA, when you look at the FJ20 spawn, the SR20, the CA, the KA. If you look at the FJ, you'll be able to pick out parts of the engine that kind of influenced everything. FJ20, was to me one of the most premier engines at that time, and it spawned a lot of different engines. So that's just my take again, like on SR20. I don't care for it, but it could be a good engine. SR20 VET. The Premier P11, P12 head, that's a whole different animal. No comparison, and those engines are totally different, and it's a different level. So you can't compare those again to DT because you asked about a DT. So that's my take on it. So I hope I answered your question on that. So let me see what else we have here. See what other questions we got. All right, so this is Mr. N-Dog asked about Dragon Ball Z. I don't watch Dragon Ball. I watched my introduction to anime was my college roommate put me on to Initial D, and I was like, what the hell is this? And he's like, drifting, and I was just getting into the drifting, and I kind of like binged on that. So before that, I'd never seen anime. It's not a cartoon. Never seen anime before. And Dragon Ball, by the time I got like kind of after I got Initial D and Wanga at Midnight, then I started to go out and Fate Night, Stay Night, and all these different ones. I like kind of darker stuff, and the Colossional Bleach came up, and I started Bleach in 2006. And I'm still on like episode 290. So Dragon Ball is just like huge, man, and it's so much time to go all the way back and review all that stuff. It's just way too much, man. I feel like you can't get caught up in like the movement is like far surpassed you. Same thing with Star Wars. I've never seen a full Star Wars ever. I never watched a full Star Wars movie, and I think Dragon Ball is the same way. So it's just too deep to kind of start now, 2019. Well, I know a lot of you guys saying no, it's not, but again, I don't have the time honestly to sit and watch all that all over again. When I was watching Initial D, binging on that, I was in college. I did a little bit of work or whatever, played with some girls, and then I watched Initial D. So that was that. So again, I don't watch Dragon Ball. Let me see. All right, so somebody asked if I'm in Japan. All right, let me see. A lot of people are chiming in right now. So again, thanks for the views. Has a lot of stuff to read here. All right, so yeah, I'm in Japan, northern Japan. Again, I've been here since 2008, August 1st, 2008. Got here off the plane to Narita Airport, Haneda, Narita. You got to go to both of those deals. After the so 2008 I got here, and pretty much I was gearing up to leave in 2000, I think 2000. Sorry about that, like 2011. I was like, yeah, maybe I'm done with my 4 years, and then after I got back from my last deployment, I was like, yeah, I'm staying here, man. I don't want to go back to Baltimore. I don't want to go back to the States. And I got here, so I'm gonna stay here and work it out. See, I'll give it like I gave myself about 5 to 10 years after I got out to make something really happen, and I made it happen with the shop. So I wasn't going to stay here and struggle, and that's the biggest thing when you come to Japan. I was talking to somebody yesterday. You could be ASC certified, Master Tech, A plus certified, Network plus certified, Cisco certified, all that stuff. Any cert you could think about in the States, when you get here, from my knowledge, to all the certs that I kind of like deal with, it means nothing. Like all your Master Tech license, all that stuff. When you come to Japan or most other foreign countries, Japan, I don't know about other countries, I didn't live anywhere else, but Japan does not honor anything else but their certs. So you pretty much will have to learn Japanese kanji and speak it and write it, go to their school and start all the way back over again. So they don't care about what you did before you got here. They only care about what they hit their system, and that's it. Their system they feel is more in depth, the teaching is better. But then again, that's not true, because certain things like when I got my license, my Japanese license, for example, they asked a bunch of questions, and they were shocked that that you could fail certain amount of questions you fail. The driving test was pretty it was decent, and they were shocked about the systems. I was like, every state is different, and one thing, Japanese, they go to driving school, which is I talked to my wife. Her mom is like 69 or 68, and her mom went to driving school, so driving school has been around for a long time when she was young, but it doesn't match the amount of money they spend to the drivers you see on the road. Their decision making, certain things like driving in inclement weather, they don't turn on lights and stuff like that. So it doesn't really matter, about that school stuff. It's down to the individual and how much practice you get driving and stuff like that. So yes, I am in Japan, northern Japan, Misawa, Omori. Like Japan is like the map here. I'm like up here, and then Tokyo is down here 8 hours away. So I'm nowhere near Tokyo. I don't like Tokyo. I don't like going there. The traffic is crazy. Everything costs more. It's nice to visit every once in a while, but I would not want to live anywhere near that place, and I'm glad. I was initially angry when I came to Misawa, because I was like, it's nothing but farms, and it's pretty much the boondocks of Japan. But then again, even when you're in Tokyo, if you go 15 minutes to the left side, you're farm fields. So Japan is an agricultural country, so there's farm fields everywhere. There's farm fields with cities plopped in there here and there. That's pretty much Japan in a whole nutshell. So technically, everywhere in Japan could look like the boondocks, and then you're back in the city, then you're back in the boondocks. Not like America, where you have the city and then you really have the boondocks where it's all away from the city and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm in Japan. Let me see. All right, sorry. Let me see what we got. All right, just looking up any more. All right, so let me see. All right, so let me see. Some of these names I can't say, so you always gonna put your name in the pit there. So somebody was asking about the Barra, the Ford Barra I just posted about a little bit ago. I'm definitely gonna get the Ford Barra coming in. I had the talk with Brendan over at Secret Monkey Garage, and he's pretty much going to help me get the engine over here. Pretty much, I mean, you can get shipping, and now that I have the shop, I have a commercial address. I can get anything out of or in Japan, so it's not, shipping is not an issue. It's just a matter of the funds. And like I said, like I told you guys before, still building the shop up and everything. So gotta kind of be careful about what I'm spending, the amount of money I'm spending and stuff like that on stuff that's not going towards things. But I mean, again, that's a good spin because it will help bring more fresher stuff into Japan. RBs, I love them. They're swapped in everything now. And 2Js, I love them. They're swapped in everything now. 1Js, of course, and it's getting it works, especially for the 2J, 1J. Not being biased, I love the RB, but I mean, you got to do a little bit to the RB to make it bulletproof. Oiling wise, the 1 and 2J are very solid, but the Bears, 4-liter inline six hasn't been seen, and that thing will turn heads, sound wise, look wise, and everything. And my thing, I myself personally, I don't really care about standing out like far as my individual self. Like, I'm not a flashy person, but car wise, your car kind of speaks for you. And then like every time, it's nice to pull up in the event and people gawk at your engine bay because it's something they don't see before. And in Japan, again, a lot, outside looking in, when I was in the States, Japan, looked like Japan was kind of like, oh man, they're like they're leading everything, which at one point they were. And then technology, like 10 years ago, technology just kind of exploded, and they put more tools in people's hands. Everybody has, can get access to AutoCAD. They got the CNC machines, 3D printers. So technology expanded so fast that now everybody, the big shops that had all the stuff, now can be produced by somebody in a garage if they got all the right gear and programming and know how to work the gear. So everything is advanced, like even swap kit, mount kits, wiring kits. So now even as a shop, yeah, I can do the fabrication for the mount kits. I can do the fabrication for the swap, the wiring and all that stuff. I can do it. I've done it all. But honestly, if you're planning everything out, you got your customers set up for 2 months. You already know you're not going to get to it, and then when you get to it, you got to put the engine in. You got to measure. You got to pull it back out. You got to weld. Like, dude, if you got the swap kit out there available and you can help push another company up there, buy the swap kit. I mean, honestly, I can, again, you can make the stuff. It's not like, I've already proved that. I've already made a bunch of mounts. I use swap kits a lot because, again, I don't have the time to, I got my customers. My customers are what's making money. Making the shop money, not my personal bills. My personal bills just kind of display my what I can do, and in turn, again, that makes money. But customers make money faster than that. So pretty much, also the way it works is you can also promote the other company that you're using, put them out there, form a business relationship. Whereas though, again, when I first approach a company, I don't really mention anything about my company unless they already know. I buy it straight out, and then I tell them what I'm using it for. They're like, hey man, let's do this and let's do that. That's the way to work about it. Never contact a company and want to do like discounts right away, and you guys don't even know each other. I see that a lot. So pretty much the Ford Bear thing is pretty much going into a different direction. I know the 1J, 2J, RB. I know those engines pretty much inside out. So the Bear is a new engine that, again, like I told you guys in the beginning, accomplishments. Once you learn things and it's like, all right, you got a good grasp on it, you want to add more. So if your customer comes here and the customer drops in and say, hey, I want a Bear, and like, have you done it before? I'm like, yeah, I got one outside. And they look at it, bam, I got a customer there. So, I don't have a bunch of plaques on the wall and stuff like that from like all these major certifications and things like that and blah, blah, blah. But what I have is a bunch of actual, I got videos, I got engines sitting behind me, I got cars outside. So when a new person comes here, I'm like, all right, well, I'm doing this, I've done that, I've did this. And then they're like, oh man, well, you can definitely do that. Results speak. Talking and all that stuff on paper, you can have all that stuff, but when the shit hits the fan, can you produce? And that's the difference between, and that's another thing I'll touch on later is about technical school versus like doing it, learning it yourself and stuff like that. So that's my thing on the Bear, and I can get them over here. Brendan's going to help me export them, and he's going to be the front runner and help me get those over here. Shipping from Australia to Japan and vice versa is very, very expensive. So we'll try to work out a container and things like that. So I'm going to move on to the next question here. All right, so again, thank you guys for tuning in. A lot of questions here, and it's probably had to do something else different for that. So the questions is kind of going crazy. Let me see. Sorry about that. Just looking through some of the questions and everything, and seeing some good stuff there. All right, some messages are held for review. All right, so all right, so somebody asked about the GTS R31. I got a DR30 actually, and having a DR30, I don't feel a need to have R31. I mean, I'll get if one comes available for a decent price, I'll get it. But I don't really my DR30. Honestly, I haven't done enough with that car to justify even buying an R31. They're relatively the same. I mean, R31 of course has RB20 and different things like that. The molding a little bit longer. The lights, little vague differences, but it's pretty much still the same car. The steering is a little bit better and a better, more options for suspension and stuff naturally out the back. So I'll definitely probably get one, but not something I'm rushing to do. R31 again. I got that back in 2009 or 2010 when I was planning on leaving Japan. So that was going to be my take back because that car was it was 1983. So it's the same. I'm born 1983, so the car is the same year, the car ages the same year as me. So that's crazy to have a car that is the same age as you. So the 1983 DR30 RS Turbo Skyline, got it with a blown engine. There was a lot of drama behind that. Kind of, I don't. It's the person I got it through. I don't deal with anymore. Both the companies. And I spent a lot of cash. Back when the yen rate was 74 yen to the dollar, which is like 74 cents to the dollar or something like that. If you just break it down 1 to 1. So the car was listed at roughly around about $3,200 after taxes, after the yen rate, after all of the which I know I got taken now. After all of the extra fees, I paid about $6,200 for the car, and then it arrived with a blown engine. I mean, the engine worked, and I tried to work around it, but I did a bunch of replacing stuff like that. And at the time, I didn't have like the shop and compression checker, and I should have did that first. That would have knocked off all the time. Basically, one of the valves that drops, and it was like popcorn. So I took the engine apart, and the FJ20 has a lot of forged parts from the factory, and the shit was strong, man, because the valve hat was pretty much chopped. It fell off, and it's a common thing that happens for some reason. It fell off, and then it was inside the cylinder, and it was just bouncing around. The bore wasn't nicked up at all, but the piston had like little nicks in it, and the top of the head was like destroyed. And actually, like the cylinder wasn't barely running because it's running on 3 cylinders. Because when the valve popped up, it actually hit the electrode and it smashed it up. So the electrode was smashed up, so it wasn't emitting a spark. So that's why I was running on 3 cylinders. And I was wondering why that was doing that. So I thought it was the injector, and the fuel system was rusted. It was a bunch of stuff. So I slowly did it. I took all the fuel system out, redid everything brand new. I rebuilt the engine. I converted the ignition system to I used the SR20 wiring harness, SR20 ECU, RB coil packs, and I took the optic wheel out of the SR20 cast, put that into the modified distributor, and it worked. I got it off of the Australian form. I think it was the FJ20 form, and I pretty much followed to a T, and it cost me like maybe $200 for the extra stuff, and it saved me a lot of money because they wanted about $800 for the extra new distributor. So that was my DR30. I got it running a little bit, then it started running like crap, and then I opened a shop shortly after that. I got it running, and then I just took the engine out, sold the FJ20, and I bought the NSX shell that some of you guys have seen. And so pretty much now I'm sitting again. I got an RB24. I like the FJ, but I like driving far as well. And the FJ to me, it just something about the engine is a race engine, and it just doesn't seem like it does like long. You couldn't drive from Misawa to Fukuoka with no issues. It just doesn't give me that warm fuzzy. So I'm definitely gonna swap for RB20, which is newer. And I got an FJ20. I'll do something else with that. So again, to answer the question, R31 not a major something I want. Eric Brooks was the first ones I've been in, and it was pretty nice and sound good and everything. But I really don't. I don't see myself buying one of those. All right, so let me see. All right, so somebody mentioned again the ECU. I'm going to go Haltech. I'm a dealer for Haltech, so I'm going to go again. The standard ECU is not going to do what I want. I don't need it to do major stuff. I don't like reflashes. I don't like. Everybody has different things, so I normally get a lot of haters, so to speak, on that. I don't like reflashes. I don't like it. Reflashes are if you got the gear there and you want to reflash every time. That's kind of old school. There's a lot. You got Link. You got Adaptronic. You got Haltech, Power C, all this new stuff where you plug in a laptop and you do your thing, you flash. I don't like, I like to be self-sufficient, so I don't want to run back to a tuner to take the round trip out or hook it up or whatever you got to do to reflash it. I don't like reflashes. That won't do it for me. I mean, again, I'm not looking to be overly over the top because I don't think you need Motec, ECU, and you're just doing like autocross. You don't need that. But at the same time, I don't want to be too far down where I don't have any options. I can't change things, and Heltec can provide that. They don't. Again, I get, of course, I get a decent discount on Heltec personally. I provide as much as I can to my customers, but Heltec don't give me anything. I buy everything I need. They're not a sponsor of mine, and I'll touch on sponsor stuff like a bit later if somebody asks that question. But I totally changed my game in respects for that. So when I come back this season, all those sponsors you've seen pretty much are gone. I do my own thing. People will support you as much as they get supported. And once I started the company, I kind of seen I wasn't getting a lot of support, so just kind of getting a little bit too off the topic. But I will be going with Heltec for that, the Elite Series, and it's just too easy to not go with that. And I don't want to deal with a bunch of other gremlins and things like that. The car is going to be off-road, so I don't need creature comforts, I don't need AC and all that stuff like that. So that would delete a lot of things. Pretty much, turnkey start, go do what I got to do, and then do maintenance and everything. It gets rid of all the other crap. So that's what I'll be doing. Let me see. All right, so Brandon. Well, I know who this is. This is one of my buddies, Brandon. Again, if I didn't see your question, sorry, the scroll function is kind of weird. So if I didn't see your question, just drop it again and I'll get to it. But Brandon asked about the featured in magazines. Okay, like Brandon asked about. So since I've been in Japan, I've been featured in Drifting Goku only, naturally because I was doing mostly drifting. I think my first feature in Dori 10 was like 2015 when 2015. Yeah, when it was like, sorry man, it's like mine is kind of a blur right now. In 2015 is when I started the contract. 2016 is when I opened the doors in January for the shop. And right around that time, they were doing an entry for gaijins in Japan, like gaijins in Japan that drift, and so they did I got a 2-page spread on that, and all that stuff can be seen. I'll put it up later. I got a 2-page spread in there, and it was pretty cool introducing my shop, introducing my shop to Japan. So that was cool, and then it was Antoine Simmons was in there. He was like on a 2-page spread, and then Josh Single Turbine was in there, and a few other guys at that time, and CZ Charles down at All That Low was inside of there, and all the different guys. It was definitely more gaijins here than they featured, but that was kind of more the guys that were available at the time. You guys know I'm a dealer for Dirty 10, and then after that I was featured in. So to be honest. All I do is tell them I got something I'm working on, and then they'll think about it, run it up the chain, and then they'll like, all right, we'll shoot it. So it's pretty easy to get inside of the Dirty 10 now, but again, I don't want to be getting in there with half-ass stuff. And then I was shocked when they put the Subaru in there which was my second entry. They put the Subaru there because that car is still to this day. I run it on Tsukuba, with drifting sucks with it because I got to do some arm extensions. It's really not good. So it got featured, and it was only like 60% complete. It won a car show, first place, and it wasn't the car thing's not even finished. I didn't finish the bid. It's so like not normal, and then a lot of guys gave me crap about copying the Subaru of MCM or whatever. Not to name drop those guys because they don't probably know me. So I had my Subaru seriously maybe 2 months before they aired their thing, and I was going to do the same thing. I seen it before a long time ago, way before they did it, and GC8, and I was going to do it, and then they came out with theirs, and I was like, oh man, I didn't want to do it, and I was like, screw it, man. I mean, I'm doing it myself. They had a whole crew. It was just me, and I did it by myself. My guy Quan was deployed, and I'm a loner, man. Rather than ask people for help, and then they're like, oh man, I got to watch cats, or I got to do whatever. I just kind of did it myself, and everything came out decent, and they shot it, and they got in there. But they kind of, I talked to somebody the other day, and actually we're still good. So there's a little bit of stuff I had to talk to Dory 10 about, pretty much like misinformation, and mostly I know it's not, I think, done on purpose. I just think it's it's kind of how they are, and then also there's like the translation stuff like that too. But I kind of got into it with them a little bit because there was misinformation about kind of what I do and the average reader who don't know me it kind of could seem like a certain way. So I kind of don't want to. I don't want any more entries in 3010 until I got something that's really really hard to hit, which the barrel swap or something like that that's really hard to hit and it's fully functional. Because the Subaru, when we did the test, it barely drift because it really sucked, man. So I felt like I was wasting this time, and then like I didn't like it. So I won't be contacting those guys until I got a serious machine to unveil, and I can throw down a drift and I'm not crashing, and it's looking top notch. Because I got pro license, and it don't really, it's cool to have, but you don't want to be out there looking like an amateur and you holding pro license. You got all these sponsors on the car looking like crap. It's just a image and appearance thing that I want to uphold. So again, if I'm not, and then also with the shop, if you got a shop and you're just driving rinky-dink cars, people are going to assume that's what you do. And I have been doing that recently because I just wanted to get on the track. But I have kind of pulled back for some events because I don't want to have a car out there that's not really displaying my full building capabilities, and also not able to allow me to put my skill set into the car. Because some dudes make excuses about the car sucks or this, that, and the other. Those guys got different problems, but I mean, I know what level I'm driving at, and I get into a car, and if it doesn't perform, or you go into the turn, you can feel the tension rods moving when you're braking. That car has issues, so you can outdrift it. And it's nice to scale up that level where you can drift anything at any condition. But you want to have a car that you can put your all into, and the car responds back to you for the inputs that you're giving the car. So that's on that. So that'll be cool. All right, so. All right, let me see. Status of the 1J cappuccino that's sitting in the corner in my shop. I stripped it all apart. Again, like I said, that thing it's going to be. I'm not going to be doing a live play-by-play deal on a cappuccino because again, it's going to be kind of slowly built over time. Probably the rolling date to get it rolling engine in there. I want to have that done by summertime. And hopefully if I can get it done sooner, customer depending, I'll get it done sooner. But the next step for the cappuccino is going to be I got to remove the front glass, get it over to the shop for light media blasting, and to get all that rust and stuff off of there, and then start the reinforcement before I do more cuts, because I don't want to do too much cuts in the body before I reinforce, because as you know, every time you cut a panel out or you cut something, every time you cut it, the body gets loose and loose and loose. So if you get the body too loose and it starts to, like the body's normal like this, it starts to flex, and then you weld it up or put it in there, the car is going to be crooked forever. So speaking on that, again, Mighty Car Mart guys did their Subaru, and I mean, I knew a decent amount. I'm not a top-notch fabricator. I can fabricate, and I know the theories of how metal works and how metal expands and contracts. One thing luckily I've seen theirs about, because I was going to do the same thing they did when they cut the top. And then you see when they said they had to jack it up because the car was starting to go, like it was starting to bow out. I put the cage and all this stuff in first. So when I cut it, it didn't move. So their car was, honestly, if you put them side by side, their car is crooked because they cut it and then they welded the cage in there. They jacked it up and kind of got it to where it looked like it was level. And then so the car is never going to be the same because they already welded the roll cage in there. So wherever it's at, however it's bent, it's going to stay that way, and you can't do it unless you take it back out and get it on a frame puller and all that stuff, which is they're not going to do for that car, and I think it's been sold off to somebody else. So that's what I got to do first. Again, it's a progressive stage. The hardest thing about any build, it ain't the swap, it's the body. That's the longest part of any build that you see out there is the body, the roll cage, all that stuff, because you want to do it properly, you want to do it to spec. You want to have it done in there wherever you roll over, you're not dying and stuff like that, which I have to do with that car because doing the figures and everything with the stock engine alone, the stock engine power, which is about 280, 300 for the 1JZ VVTi, with the power to weight ratio, calculating it, it's roughly equivalent to, it's almost like 400 or 500 horsepower or something like that. If I up the horsepower to like 500 horsepower, then that's making the overall build is equivalent to almost 1200 or 1100 horsepower. So that thing is going to fly. I mean, seriously, it has to be safe. I'm going to drive it hard, but it has to be safe where if I crash, I can get out of it and build another one. But that's the status with the cappuccino. Again, right now, this has to get rust removal and then more analyzing. Luckily, all the structural points are not rusted. And for the car itself, there's nothing rusted through. It's just topical rust. It was a good situation where it was in a moist farm field, so it was kept wet, but it didn't get dried out. And dried out rusting is when you start get the holes in the layered rust, and you can poke through it. So it's definitely a salvageable car, salvageable chassis. So once I get that back from the sandblaster, I'll clean everything off, seal it up, and then start just pre-seal it, and then do the fabrication. Weld everything up, get all the cage in there. I'll be getting with Saito cage for the cage, welding cage, and get that stuff in there. And then once I get that in there and set, then I can move to cutting the floor and then sitting the engine back. I've done a pre-test, and it's going to work. I'm telling you guys, it's going to work. I put the engine in there, I lined the transmission up, and I still have enough space for a drive shaft, believe it or not. So a drive shaft would be about maybe 12 inches long. So it'll work. It'll definitely work. I did the math on paper before I started the build, and that's everybody was like saying no, it won't work, and blah blah blah. And the thing is, with any build, anybody that's looking to build anything out there, you seriously, you graduated high school, you got a GED, whatever, you can use a ruler. You just measure first. You go in there, and you see how long the host car is, the car you want to use for the swap. You look at the I had the spec. I had a 1J in the shop. I had a transmission, so I measured that, and then you pretty much it's math. So of course, if the engine and trans combo is literally longer than a whole car, it's not going to work, and you got to extend the car and stuff like that. So the engine and trans combo actually will work. I'm going to use a modified variant. I won't get into details, but once I get done, I'll reveal some stuff, but I'm not going to reveal too much because I already know once I get it done, somebody's going to want to do it, and I'm not really doing how-tos anymore. It's a business, so of course I want to get publicity for the shop and make a little bit of money too. So I release certain things, but not too much. Yeah, so it's definitely going to happen. All the math worked perfectly. So again, all the naysayers up there, just stay tuned. And I love proving people wrong. It's not a spiteful thing. I've been spiteful before in my life, but it's not really a spiteful thing. It's just it's fun to prove people wrong. So I've done it a lot of times. I'm doing it right now with this shop. So it's definitely going to happen. So the 1J cappuccino is definitely good to go. All right, so let me see. So yeah, you said MCM wasn't the first to do it in Australia. I don't know why everybody. I said the same thing, and people would just give me crap about it. Like they were probably the most notable. Because of their channel has a lot of subscribers and stuff like that, so they were the most notable to do it and everything. So yeah, that's all it was. I knew that was coming, so I just kind of took it in stride. Let me see. Okay, he said, can I recommend coilovers for the RB2 Odyssey? Yeah, I run the Odyssey. I run for my family. Again, I'm gonna promote what I use and reaction coilovers. So if you go to my website, www.pinkustyle.com, you'll go to the store, go to the suspension section. You'll see reaction coilovers. It's RIACTION sports coilover kit, and they're out of Taiwan, which all the companies are out of Taiwan. I've been with Chris and those guys, Chris Chang. I've been with those guys for about since 2000. Pretty much roughly right after I opened my shop, I got with those guys. Chris messaged me. He seen some stuff on Instagram and got with me, and I thought it was like another hoax, and I talked to him, and he was actually a real guy. Sent me some samples, and I tested them out, and I've driven DG5s, I've driven BC, I've driven a lot Aragosta. I've owned a lot of different coilovers and driven them. There is clear and cut good coilovers, and there's bad coilovers. There's coilovers when you just want to lower the car, and there's coilovers when you want to take some corners and stuff and do stuff. There's so many options out there, and of course, everybody you ask is going to push who they use. All the different companies out there, I don't deal with those guys. They didn't contact me. I have no dealings with them. And again, I'm going to push. I'm going to make all my purchases and stuff like that count. One thing too, you guys know from my videos, I don't promote anything that's crap. If it's crap, you just see. I don't talk bad about the company. You just see me not talking about it or not promoting it anymore. So yeah, reaction, it works. I've had nothing but good support from those guys and everything. So yeah, man, it's pretty good. And that's pretty much that on that. They work pretty much. So 1 second, guys, I'm gonna take a quick break real quick and get some water, and I'll come right back, check out the new questions and everything. Right, I'm back. I'm back, guys. But unfortunately, like I say, I want to do a quick start to the podcast and everything. Unfortunately, I just checked my messages and everything. I forgot I got a meeting with the wife. So again, everybody, thanks for tuning in and all that stuff like that. I hate to cut it short for the first one. A lot of questions, a lot of responses, things right here. I definitely want to be back to do a lot more. Definitely, I'm going to make a page for the podcast so you guys can drop questions there and stuff like that. So again, this is not the last one. It's Sunday, and I had like some stuff to do with my family and stuff like that, and I just kind of ran to the shop real quick and wanted to get it started. So the entries will be short to long. I'll be doing a lot more stuff. I'm going to get better cameras so I can extend the range further and do stuff like that. So again, thank you guys for the questions. Again, I see a lot of questions here. I'm sorry, I got to drop out and everything. But again, I see people saying the mic level was low. Thanks for that. Yeah, I got to definitely fix that or something like that. Something's wrong with the mic. So yeah, I'll address that mic. Again, thanks for this. Again, it's the first one, so it's not going to be. I'm definitely going to grow with you guys and little stuff like this, like the mic volume. I got to check out and see what I can do to get that higher. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's the first one of many. You guys have been along for the first ride. Again, I watch Joe Rogan a lot, and it's crazy. He's in like 3,000 episodes, and then you look at the first one, it'll hit like cats in the backgrounds and snowflakes falling and all that stuff like that. So it's definitely going to grow, definitely get everything better. Sorry about the mic stuff. It might be me not talking too close to the mic, so I'll get that stuff fixed. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's Donnie signing out from Pinku Style. I'm Masao, Japan, and always you get my salute leaving from Japan. So see you